Hello everyone, welcome to the channel once again. Few of you were asking to give interview questions of C Sharp. Now in this video, I'm not giving the interview questions as I am giving in Sitecore, but I'll go through my notes which I had published few years back on my blog. So once I go through that blog, I'll ask you questions, and these questions would be helpful to you in your interview, clearing your interview, and these questions would be helpful in the experience range of 0 to 5 years around. I'm only giving the interview questions of C sharp, only C sharp, and I'm pretty sure that once you cover all these questions which I'm going to tell you, you will be covering around 50 to 60% of the C sharp questions which would be asked in your interviews. So without any further ado, let's get started. So the first question which everybody should prepare who is studying C sharp is the difference between different versions. Now this was published in 2018, so it is only till 6.0. Now you can prepare till C sharp version 8.0, the difference between them and at what version came what functions, like async and await function came with C sharp 5.0. So these kind of functionality generally asked in the interview, so that difference you can prepare. Then I can start with my notes. This I published around 2018, I think. I'll ask the questions and then you can prepare or try to answer the questions in the comment section. Now this video can be a bit longer, my apologies for that, but the C sharp would not be covered in like 5 minutes. So let's get started. So the first question, obviously, whether C sharp is a platform dependent or a platform independent language. So this question may be asked. Then what is platform independent and what is platform dependent? Then whether it is a structural language or object oriented language. So these type of questions can be asked generally at a fresher level. If you are in the experience range of 0 to 2 years, these questions would be asked. Then what are exe files, what are DLL files, how you create projects of exe and DLL, what is the difference? These questions are also asked. What is the use of using keyword? Why do we use this using keyword? So they should be asked even if you are experienced using keyword. What alias you can use it for using? Then what is a static? What is uh, what is a static and how do we use in C sharp? This is also asked. Then what are data types in C sharp? This would be asked. And then what are predefined data types and what are user defined data types? Then in data types, what are value types and what are reference types? Give an example of value type, give an example of reference type. These should be clear to everyone. Generally it is asked in the experience range of 0 to 6 years or 5 years. So this you should be clear with these concepts. In my notes it's already written. You can search it on net also or you can refer it, but prepare these questions. Now in the reference type, what are strings and what are objects? Which object is the parent of all objects? Then they ask what are classes, what are structures, what are enumerators, what are delegates and what are event. Sometimes they ask the signature of delegate and events. How do we create it? What is class, what is an object? Then some questions on structure also, generally. Then what are literals also sometimes they ask. Then integer, what are floating values, character literals, string literals, what are those? Then you can go through these notes. This would definitely be helpful to you. So what are arrays? What are single dimensional arrays? What are multi-dimensional arrays? What are jagged arrays? These are also asked. Now what is pass by value and pass by reference. So what is difference between out keyword and ref keyword is asked a lot many times. If you are giving interview in which if WCF is in the JD, so this question, what is the difference between out and ref keyword, will definitely be asked. What is pass by reference, pass by value? So these questions are also asked. I've given you the examples, reference parameter, and I explained also what are output parameters in build method. What is, sometimes they use all, and sometimes they ask what is try parse, how it is better, and why do we use it. So there's a difference between reference and out. This is generally asked. Then what are pointers in C sharp? Why we call it a unsafe or unmanaged code? So this is also asked. Then what are single executive model, COM object model? Now these two questions are not asked, but earlier when during the like earlier phase of C sharp, they generally they were asking these questions. Now I think they would not ask this, but still you can prepare. Now oops concept will definitely be asked, whether you are in the experience range of 0 to 5 or greater, because these are the basic things and you should be clear of it. So all the encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance with example, you should prepare. What is aggregation, generalizations, these things you should be clear. What are classes, what are objects, how you in like multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, whether it is allowed or not allowed, examples of abstraction, what in examples of encapsulation, and what do we try to achieve through abstraction and encapsulation. These questions are definitely asked. Then what are static or class members, what are non-static or instance members, when we define a class member as a static, what is the specific, why do we use a static, uh, why do we use a static in front of variables or methods? So there's a specific purpose of a static also. So this is also asked. This static was once asked when I was giving an interview for the Microsoft. So this question was asked. Then object. So then they ask about constructors, whether there could be a private constructor or not. So what is the use of private constructor, when it can happen, when it cannot happen. So like details about constructor also you should prepare. Then these class elements, fields, methods, properties, indexer, delegates, inner classes. What are inner classes? They also like sometimes they ask questions on like events and delegates also. So these things also you should be prepared. Now this is also very frequently asked. What is difference between constant and read only? This is very frequently asked. What is difference between constant and read only? So this is constructor and deconstructor also they ask. Then they ask about concrete, abstract, and sealed method. What are sealed methods? Why do we use it? Abstract method and concrete method they ask. So I'm pretty sure that if you watch this video till the end and you prepare all these questions which I am asking you, 50 to 60% of the questions in C sharp you'll be able to answer. I am pretty sure about that. So try to answer these questions. What are getter and setters in C sharp? What is the like syntax? Sometimes, not every time, but sometimes they ask about syntax also, so that you can prepare. What are indexes? So these kind of questions. Delegates, obviously they ask delegate events and delegates, when do we use it? Then encapsulation example, generally they ask give a scenario in which you will use encapsulation, give a scenario when you will use abstraction. What is encapsulation, what is data hiding, why do we use new keyword? Now generally new keyword is used in two ways in C sharp. So generally they ask how do you use new keyword, and then in what is difference between private and protected, internal, protected, when do we use it? So these are also asked. Abstraction layers. Then they ask about polymorphism. Now this question is also method overloading and method overriding. Now they will ask you this if you are fresher or in the interview range of like or in the experience range of 0 to 5. They will definitely ask what is the difference between method overloading and method overriding. What are operator overloading, method overloading? These questions are also asked in C sharp. How do you overload a operator? So the example I've already given. You can see this note. You can go to this. I'll give the link in the description, but you can go to this link and see all these answers. What are parent class, base class, and child class? Which is the base class of all the objects? This is also asked sometimes. Now these are few of the scenarios like which will be executed first in the inheritance process. So these examples are sometimes asked. They will initialize few variables in parent class, and then few variable in base class, then few variables in child class, and then they will ask scenario which variable will be initialized when. This kind of scenario based questions in inheritance sometimes they ask. What is method hiding? They ask sometimes. Yeah, method hiding also they ask. So prepare this also. Sometimes they ask questions like method overloading and method overriding, and then sometimes they ask the difference between method overriding and method hiding also. So these difference also sometimes they ask. Then what is runtime polymorphism? This is, if you are a fresher, this question would definitely be asked. Even if you are in the experience range of 0 to 5, these questions are asked sometimes. So runtime polymorphism. What is runtime polymorphism? How do you use override keyword? So this is asked. What are virtual methods? How do you define these virtual methods? And when do you override? Is it necessary to override the virtual method every time? So these kind of questions. Abstract methods, abstract classes. So these are asked. Sealed method. Why do we define a method as a sealed method? When do we do that? So this is also asked. Prepare these questions. What are partial classes? And what is the scenario in which you will go for a partial class? So this question is also asked. Then what is exception handling? How do we do exception handling? Like try, catch, throw, finally, try, catch, finally. In this, sometimes they ask whether I can write a return statement in catch, but whether I can write a return statement in finally, and if I have written return in both, will it compile? And what is the execution process? So these kind of questions are also asked in exception handling. Sometimes they will return from the try block only, and they will ask whether it will come in catch. Sometimes they will write return in catch and return in finally, then they will ask what is the execution, how the control will go from different control will flow. So these questions are asked, generally asked. Try, catch, exceptions, very generic questions. Some permutations and combination with the return statement from the catch or finally block. So the how do you create a custom exception? How do you throw it? So that is also asked. Then string handling. What is immutable and mutable classes? And sometimes there, what is difference between double equal to and triple equal to? This question is asked not in terms of C sharp only, not in terms of C sharp, but in JavaScript I remember they have asked double equal to, triple equal to. What is the difference? So what are string builders, whether immutable or mutable? What are, if you are adding a string in a loop, so what you will use? You will use string builder, origin, a simple string. So these kind of questions are asked. So these are all C sharp questions. Now these will go to a ASP.NET, and this I'll not cover, but generally if you prepare these questions basically in C sharp, you will be able to answer 50 to 60% of the questions. Now I'll make another video for MVC or ASP.NET or WCF, what type of questions are asked in WCF and our web API is. This also I can prepare for maybe next video. That's all. Thank you for watching, and please do prepare And if you think you can write in the comment section answer of all these questions, it's pretty good. I appreciate it. Please do write in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Best wishes for your interviews.